Well, the results of the local elections have been rolling in, and it's already clear the Tories have had a bruising time. The question now is what the Conservative rebels do, and how safe is Rishi Sunak? We've been talking to a load of Tories, MPs, aides, party insiders, to unpack that question. It's already clear three areas are beginning to emerge. One is calls for Sunak to be more right-wing in his policies, another is for a possible cabinet reshuffle, and then there's the question about his leadership. We'll unpack all those in a moment, but first let's summarise the results so far. In Blackpool South, there was a thumping victory for Labour.
Rishi Sunak, call that general election!
And a really bad defeat for the Tories. The Tory vote share dropped from about 50% in the 2019 general election to around 17%. That is supposedly the third biggest drop in Tory vote share at a by-election since the Second World War. And one of the most notable things there was how much Reform surged. In fact, they almost beat the Tories into second place.
And that's a significant milestone for us.
They were just shy of 117 votes of that. So that's a real danger sign for the Conservatives. On the councils, the early picture is, as expected, the Tories are losing about 1 in 2 of the councillors who they had standing. Labour are doing well, the Greens are up a little, and the Lib Dems are up, but not perhaps as much as they could have hoped for. Labour actually took full control of a number of notable councils. Rushmore is one, that's supposedly the home of the British Army because of barracks there. Hartlepool is another, that was where the Tories won a big by-election back in 2021, but Labour now controls the council. But it's not all rosy for Labour. One area where they didn't do great was Oldham, which actually they lost control of, and that's been put down to a backlash over their Israel-Gaza stance. And then there's the picture with the mayors, that's going to roll in throughout the weekend. But one really notable result has already dropped. Ben Houchin has hung on in the Tees Valley for the Tories. That's a big boost for Downing Street. Now he was expected to win. He won 73% of the vote last time. But still, it's something Rishi Sunak can cling to as he tries to spin the results in his favour. So, what is happening with the Tory rebellion? That's what we spent a lot of Friday trying to find out, talking to MPs, talking to advisors, talking to government figures. It's pretty clear that there is widespread disillusionment with the current state of the party and the leadership. That's not that surprising, just look at the polls, they're 20 points behind, and these local election results have reinforced the fact that that is a true reflection of what voters are thinking. That's not just some mythical scenario being conjured up in the surveys. The question though is what to do about it and how hard those who are disillusioned are going to push Downing Street about it. So let me give you a sense of what some of those people have been saying. We talked to one former Tory MEP, David Campbell-Bannerman. He's the chairman of the Conservative Democratic Organisation. He actually called for Rishi Sunak to go. He said his leadership had been disastrous, visionless, vacuous. And he had a message to Tory MPs. He said, if you don't dump Sunak now, the party is finished for a decade. We also talked to some critics in the rebel group of MPs and former advisors who are trying to oust Rishi Sunak. One said, Reform are going to kill us. Another said, this is at the extreme upper end of how bad it could have been.
With those polling numbers, can you understand why there's sort of growing rumours and speculation and briefing in Westminster that your political enemies within the Tory party might move against you after the May local election?
So Harry, look, obviously that's your job. You're a political journalist. You
Thank
spend
you.
your time in
Yeah.
Westminster. And if I'm being totally candid with you, that's not where I'm focused.
So how is this anger going to manifest? Well, one thing we're already seeing is Tory MPs calling for Rishi Sunak to adopt more traditionally conservative policies. Dame Andrea Jenkins, one of only 2 Tory MPs to have previously called on Rishi Sunak to go, wrote a piece for the Telegraph on Friday arguing just that. She said, Prime Minister, if you are still around, be bold, be radical. And she added, Rishi Sunak has now been told by the electorate, wake up, be conservative, or you lose. Now, she is part of the grouping on the right, so she would argue that, but she's not alone. Other people are arguing the same thing. A different Tory MP told us the party has not delivered what our voters want. So what does that mean? Well, some Tories are calling for bolder tax cut measures, others are calling for tougher immigration rules and tougher border policies, and also things like tougher welfare policies. The thing is, Downing Street will counter and say that's exactly what we've been doing. In recent weeks, they've announced increased defence spending, a crackdown on benefits, and also Rishi Sunak and Jeremy Hunt, the Chancellor, keep talking about tax cuts. The question is whether their message is really cutting through. Another thing you're seeing today already is a call for a cabinet reshuffle, a so-called war election cabinet. The argument again is being voiced by the Tory right. They say Rishi Sunak has got too many moderates in the cabinet, and why not promote some of the right-wingers who used to be in there, like Priti Patel, Jacob Rees-Mogg. Somebody even said Boris Johnson should come back as Tory chairman. So I suppose this is a bit of a wish list on the Tory right, and I'm sure critics would say it's just shuffling the chairs on the deck of the Titanic. But still, those calls are out there. The key question, though, and the one we've been thinking about for weeks, is will anybody really try to oust Rishi Sunak, to move against him, to submit those no confidence letters on the back of these results? The truth right now is we're not too sure. It depends how the next couple of days play out. But it is notable if you listen carefully to what Tory MPs are and aren't saying. Look at what Nadine Dorries said on TV, another really vocal critic. She said it would be madness and insane to try and get rid of Rishi Sunak. Instead, she called for a cabinet reshuffle. In fact, by noon on Friday, not a single Tory MP had gone public, issuing a new call for the Prime Minister to go. And I think that's quite telling for where the mood of the party generally is on the backbenches. Even though a lot of Tory MPs are disillusioned, a lot of them have this nagging question. If we got rid of Rishi Sunak, would voters reward us? Or would they roll their eyes and ridicule us? I think a lot have concluded it's the latter, and so they're reluctant to move on the leader. Now, it's not over yet. We've got more results to come throughout the weekend, and I'm sure more Tory MPs going public, making demand for changes. But in Downing Street, they'll be hoping to cling to that Ben Houchen victory, survive the storm, and get to the election with Rishi Sunak still standing. So yes, there is Tory MP anger and frustration at the result, but no, it doesn't look like Rishi Sunak is going to be forced out right now. Order! Westminster Source is a Telegraph video series taking you behind the scenes of British politics. For the latest news, check our website and app. And if there's an issue you want us to cover, put it in a comment below.